This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. We are here in the A's Cast non-Coliseum studio, we could call it today. And we're also in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at PNC Park. Show the video. Look at this look.
1 second.
I mean, this is amazing. This is what PNC Park looks like. You are looking live, as Brent Musburger used to say.
I was hoping you would go there with Musburger again. That's 2 days in a row we've mentioned Musburger, a legend in our industry.
You know, probably one of the great I've worked with a lot of great people, but I've never worked with someone who's as big of a star as Brent Musburger. And my two years with him, I mean, we flew next to each other on the plane. I had dinner with him every road trip. The man's an absolute star. He's an American sports broadcaster star. And I could tell you stories about going out with him. It was like I took him to a Twins game. It was like being with Elvis. I mean, it was amazing. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. For as big of a star as he was and is, Brent Musburger is the nicest man. He has got that upper Midwest mentality where he grew up. Of course, went to school at Northwestern, but he's from Montana, and that the kid from Montana has never left him. And if he taught me anything, you want to talk about being humble and being grateful, and no matter how big you are, you stay true to who you are. Unlike Cody gets to go to Pittsburgh, and now he thinks he's Bryant Gumbel and he owns the world. Brent Musburger taught me that no matter how big you get, you stay true to who you are. And I will always have the ultimate respect for that man. It's funny when you watch all like the old YouTube stuff, right? And you're watching like old NBA stuff, or you're watching old baseball stuff or old golf stuff. He's on everything. You forget he was the head of CBS Sports. And there was no Fox. We see so much stuff on Fox now. Everything was on CBS. But the great Brent Musburger, I just want to tell everybody what a wonderful man he is. Kind to everybody. Anybody that comes up to him, the nicest, kindest man, because a lot of people in his shoes are not that way. A lot of stars are horrible. They're not nice people. The stardom and the money has gone to their head. Obviously, these are interesting times with what happened yesterday in the Nevada legislature, where this thing still can go in Nevada, what's happening back home. You know, we have said from day one, we're here to cover the baseball team. We're staying away from that. We will follow it. We'll look at it, but our job is to stay in our lane and to cover baseball and to cover this team, no matter how bad it gets at 12-50. But there's other people doing that work. And it's better for us for what we do to stay out of that. But I am going to say this today, because if you woke up today and you thought the A's was the biggest news, it's not. And it should teach you a lot about business and sports. You may not follow golf, but golf is a monster. The PGA Tour is a big deal. They've got a big-time television contract. They've got big-time sponsors. And under the play of one Tiger Woods, Changed everything. And now these guys are playing for a lot of money each week. And then you had a rival tour startup called Live Tour that was backed by Saudi money. And it's been a big controversy for 2 years. And they've been hammering each other publicly. They've been hammering each other in the courtroom. And all of a sudden, this morning, you wake up and that you got the European Tour, you've got the PGA Tour, and you got the Live Tour now all merging under a cloud of darkness. Nobody knew about this. In a time when nobody keeps secrets, this was kept secret from everybody. Because technically, the players, I don't know if you know this, Cody, but technically it's the players of the PGA Tour who own the tour. Do you know that?
I did not, but I read about how a lot of the guys did not know that this was going down, which was
No,
fact.
not a lot. None.
Yeah, I think Colin Morikawa had the tweet. It was, I love waking up in the morning to get my news from Twitter.
You had guys who turned down over $100 million to go play on the Live Tour to stay true to the PGA Tour. Some turned down hundreds of millions. And now they wake up, what they fought for, they've now joined. And the reason why I bring this up, not because we're now into golf on A's Cast Live, and I'm going to bring on our resident golf expert, Ken Korak. It's just, it goes to show the minute you get after their antitrust law and their protections, they fold like a cheap suit. It's why all of a sudden, John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle starts bringing up territorial rights. What? We're back to talking about territorial rights? San Jose? The Giants? Maybe, just maybe, people in baseball realize that all this was wrong and that the Haas family, who gave the territorial rights to the Giants to try and get 2 votes in San Jose, not 1 but 2, both failed. And then the Haas family, like a bunch of idiots, didn't get it back because every market is equal territory. The Mets have equal territory with the Yankees, Cubs and White Sox, Dodgers and Angels. That's why the Angels have threatened to move next to Dodger Stadium, because legally they can. It's a 2-team territory. Why do I bring this up? Why do I bring the PGA? Because it just goes to show you, the minute you mess with a league's antitrust protection, things change dramatically. 2 years of being in a courtroom between Live and PGA, and now they merge, and no one knew about it. We just had the PGA Championship. That's called a major. I understand some of you don't follow golf. That's why there's 4 majors a year. There's the Masters, there's the U.S. Open, there's the PGA, and there's the Open Championship. We call it also the British Open over in Europe. There's 4 big ones a year. Just played one, the PGA. And no one knew about it? Nobody. Everybody's waking up today. I woke up today and thought it wasn't real. Just goes to show there's so much stuff that goes on business-wise that's on the down low that we don't know about. And that's why you sit back and, the people are going to fight the fight. You keep fighting your fight. You keep fighting the fight. You never know. And the situation, I guess, for us, Cody, is that, it's like, tell us when it's done. But this thing's got a long way to go. And as I tell people, as my wife, just to give you a little insight about our lives, essentially our lives, everybody is asking us where we're moving to give you an idea. My wife just did a couple. We have friends whose kids are graduating from high school. So my wife, I had to work, obviously, because I've got Marlins A's. But my wife was at multiple graduation parties, and the number one question comes up to her is about where you're moving to. So that's how our lives are rolling these days. And like I tell everybody, everything is so – people used to say to me, Cody, well, what are you going to do about your kids? What are you going to do about your kids? Ask me, Cody, what am I going to do about my children? Which is the most important thing.
What are you going to do about your kids?
My kids will be graduated from college by the time this thing happens. That's how ridiculous it's gotten. And that's all I'm going to say. It's gotten so crazy that people have always asked me about my kids and what am I going to do? Because, the way it works for us as employees is different from non-employees. For you fans, it's different for us. It just is. And, I have a lot invested in the Bay Area. I've lived here my entire adult life. I have a business here. I have my house. I have a lot invested here. So when people ask, where are you moving to? It's pretty personal. And then they bring your kids into it. Well, I was thinking about my kids will be graduated from college.
I'll be 40. I'll be 40.
We're hoping you'll have a kid by then.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great point you brought. I mean, in the press box before I walked out yesterday to go meet up with my wife and some friends that were sitting in the seats behind JJ Bladay's family. Thank you to the great Mickey Morabito for that. On the way out, I saw when I interned here in Pittsburgh in TV before I graduated college, I saw who everyone calls the godfather of Pittsburgh sports, Bob Pompiani, and I talked to him, and the first question he asked was, "So when the whole thing about Vegas?" And it's like it's the first thing everyone asked me, so I know exactly what you're talking about, especially here now that I'm here and they know I work for the team. So I've been
everywhere we go.
Yeah,
it's everywhere. We can't escape it. It's everywhere we go. It's part of the job. You just got to deal with it, and just to keep it real, there's probably going to be a special session in Nevada. That's how the Raider deal went down. So, I mean, I can't control it. You can't control it. We were going to acknowledge it today, so that we know what's going on. We're not going to act like this isn't happening. I mean, it's tough and it's emotional and it affects a lot of different people, and it's not easy for any of us. But I keep falling back on this is so far away. I mean, even Vegas was supposed to be the quick path, and that's 2028. I'm like, my kids will be, and thank you for everybody that's always reached out, and I've had a lot of people reach out concerning us and my family. Well, what are you going to do with your kids? Yeah, my kids will be, unless they screw up. Now, that's the one caveat. If they screw up, it could be longer than 4 years. But I'm throwing you better be done in 4 years. And if you're going to a fifth year, you better have a reason. And don't be coming with me with, no, I want to be a doctor.
Well, I just saw my best friend who's a doctor here, and it took him forever.
What, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that? I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, he had to go to med school on an island. That's where he went to med school. Save money, but it was a good program. But yeah, took forever for him. But now he's a doctor.
But think about that. My kids are going to be seniors. They'll be They'll probably, there's a good chance they'll be graduated from college. So that's how I see it. And I've said for a lot, you've heard me say it. You've heard me say this, Cody. And I've stuck to this. We're going to be playing at the Coliseum for a long time.
Yeah, you have said it. And
everybody, it's everybody, I'm telling you, next year we'll see at the Coliseum. I'm going to end on that. And I'm not expecting anything different anytime soon. Great show today put together by the Commander. Just to let you know two things. I know there's a big event at the Coliseum coming up here on Tuesday. I'm not going to be here. I luckily got permission. My kids are just out of school this week, and my wonderful boss. Have I ever told you how great of a boss Dallaire is?
I think we've mentioned it numerous times. He gets shot out a lot on here. He's a great boss.
Dallaire Lewars. Have I ever told you what a wonderful, incredible, good-looking, great personality? He's tall. The world is his oyster type of guy he is.
Dare we say silvered hair fox? Is that a little too personal, or is that an description?
What's the old thing? Men want to be like him. Women want to be with him. He's like John Wayne.
That's a fair assessment of Dallaire. Yes,
the great Dallaire. My wife kind of gave me the business about working every game. So I'm going to Hawaii for a few days. Gonna step back for a few days, and I got TV tomorrow, NBC. I'll be on the post-game show after I'm done hosting A's post-game. Toyota, I guess, post-game live now, but A's post-game live. And then Friday I go to Hawaii, and then I'll be back for Thursday. I do TV on Thursday. So what I want to throw out there and let everybody know that I know there's a big thing that's going to happen on Tuesday, and I'm not going to be around, and it's not because I'm trying to avoid this. It's because I was able to get some time off from Delaire and just kind of decompress. I have worked every game. Have you worked every game?
No, but I will be working. I don't know if I'm the de facto host while you're gone of A's Cast, but there will be a trio of us doing it. They'll say that. I won't give away the names, but there'll be 3 of us doing it next week.
I am going to miss, by the way, Friday. Is Eno coming on Friday?
This Friday. I didn't even think about that. I'd have to talk to him.
Because
that was my plan.
Because I've got an article for him. Do you see our old buddy Bobby Nightingale?
I did not see his article.
MLB continues to be stricken with nightmare epidemic. Do you know what that nightmare epidemic is?
Pitching injuries?
Elbow injuries. And everything that we've been saying on A's Cast Live is in this USA Today article. Everything. Oh, my God. I mean, with everything going on in Nevada and everything going on with the PGA Tour and Live, and folks, just pay attention to the PGA Tour Live thing. You can learn a lot about how sports leagues operate. You can learn, even if you know nothing about golf, you don't care about golf. This is Saudi money. This is the PGA Tour. It's television contracts. It's antitrust law. It just tells you a lot about sports leagues. A league that literally sat there and kicked all the Live. When you went to Live, they kicked you out of the PGA Tour, fought you, told you were the worst thing ever, and they've now merged out of nowhere. I mean, it's the almighty dollar and going after somebody's antitrust. If you can get after somebody's antitrust, they will fold like a cheap suit. But in my hand, I hold this article from the USA Today because I've wanted to, we've got numbers, Cody, on everything. We've got, we can tell you numbers on anything. We don't have numbers on Tommy John. And I wonder why. I don't think teams want you to know. I really don't. Because that's why it said here a nightmare epidemic. And when we talk about epidemics, it now means something after COVID, right? Now epidemic, that word stands out. There have been 30 pitchers who have undergone Tommy John surgery this year. That's big league.
That's a lot.
Do you know how many in May?
No, I'm going to say 10.
12. We've had 12 big league pitchers have Tommy John. UCL runs through that little crack in your elbow. It's the way we call the funny bone. And what they do is they take it out of that, tie like a bow around it. They either take like a ligament from your thumb or your butt or whatever, and they tie it and they make it stronger. Everybody from Robbie Ray, Kumar Rocker, Luis Garcia, the Astros, Herman Marquez from the Rockies. It goes on and on. Elbow and shoulder injuries have increased 44% from a year ago, and no one's blaming the clock here. The clock is bogus. They're talking about the pitch clock because they don't want to talk about the truth. Because in here, of course, Cody, Dr. David Altchek, renowned orthopedist for the New York Mets, correct?
Yeah, good friend.
Good friend of yours. You guys play golf. He comes on in here. Renowned means everybody knows this guy's a big deal, right? He's just not your regular go down the street, get knee surgery guy. He says, quote, There have been a lot of studies done and looked at variables about the ulnar ligament injuries. Ulnar nerve, right, the ulnar ligament right here runs through the ulnar nerve. But the only issues that clearly stand out, do you think he says pitch clock?
No.
The only issue that clearly stands out is velocity. Guys throwing harder will have higher incidence of injuries that ligament. Throwing harder really seems to make a big difference. And then they go on to talk about something that I had never thought about. Weighted balls may be a big problem. And how you utilize weighted balls. We see guys, because we're there before the game starts, Fuji carries around like a doctor's kit with his weighted balls. Everybody's using these weighted balls. That may be part of the problem. But this renowned orthopedic surgeon says there's one thing and one thing only. That is velocity. Our addiction to velocity is hurting pitchers because their arms, their ligaments, it's not something you can strengthen. You can try and strengthen things around it, but you can't strengthen your elbow, your ligament in your elbow. Can't do it. I'm going to go Mike Singletary. Can't do it. Can't win with them. They got a problem because front offices are also addicted to velocity. They're addicted to it. How many times, where's my iPad? How many times have they said, well, they're in the dugout watching the game, all of a sudden they realize, guys, fastball's down 3 ticks. Fastball's down 3 ticks, Cody. What does that mean? We got to go get him. Got to go get him.
I mean, perfect example. I looked at for today. Cap's fastball velocity is down from last year. Just to throw that out there.
Got to go get him. Got to go get him. That's what they do on a nightly basis. They feel your velocity's down 2-3 miles an hour. Hey, he's a pitcher. Let him pitch. Let him get out. Nope. They're not pitchers. They're throwers. And the minute they think that their spin rates and you're not getting as much spin on your on the old slider, on your curveball, go get him out. And we're teaching these kids they're now addicted to velocity because all they care about is how hard they throw. And they can't stay healthy. So now everybody's cool with kids getting Tommy John in high school and college. Like it's no big deal, like it's an oil change. And it's not, because so many guys don't come back. We talk about the guys who do come back. So many guys don't come back. Let me throw this one at you. You want some numbers? I'll give you numbers. Talk about the almighty dollar. Do you think $433.6 million is a lot of money?
Yeah, that's a fair chunk of change.
That's close to $500 million. That is the money that was spent on Verlander, deGrom, and Carlos Rodon. 3 pitchers this offseason signed for $433.6 million. $433.6 million. They have combined for 12 starts, 66 and a third innings. Rodon hasn't pitched yet for the Yankees. Verlander has been hurt, and deGrom was just moved to the 60-day IL. 3 pitchers, $433 million. I can't wait. I haven't even talked about our guest today. One of the brightest men in all of sports, Doug Glanville, former player and professor, will be here at 1:30. We're going to have Greg Brown, the voice of the Pirates, the author of Raise the Jolly Roger, will be here at 2:30, and Martín Gallegos at 3 o'clock.
Martín, I was going to tell you real quick, Martín went to the Roberto Clemente Museum here in Pittsburgh. You can talk to him about that because all the broadcasters went.
They have a Roberto Clemente Museum?
Yeah, I've never got a chance to go, but I saw that they all went this morning, and Martín was there as well. So that's something we can definitely get in. We can talk to him about.
I'd love it. Well, I'm a big museum guy.
Yeah, it seemed like a really cool place. When I come back next time, I think we're going to come back in Christmas time. I'll try to get to it then.
God, I'd love to go to the Roberto Clemente Museum. They probably have some killer stuff in there.
From the images I saw shared on social media, it looks like there was a lot of cool stuff in there.
I wouldn't be shocked if you even had like some Willie Stargell stuff in there and guys he played with.
Yeah, there's probably all kinds of cool stuff, and I'm definitely going to try to check it out next time I come back home.
As I tried to educate you that he won 2 World Series, not 1. I hope you now know that.
Yeah, 60 and 71 because he passed right after.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Doug Glanville about this. So we're not talking about pitch clock. We're not talking about anything that Max Scherzer, get off your high horse on the pitch clock and stop being an entitled baby. This has nothing to do with pitch clock because guys were getting hurt at a record rate without pitch clock. This year, 44% increase in injuries, and velocity is the highest it's ever been. Oral Hershiser, who I have a lot of respect for, right? We know Oral was a great pitcher. Probably was on his way to the Hall of Fame until he hurt his shoulder and then pitched for years after that. He said maybe it's time to start thinking about reducing the 162-game schedule to try and protect these pitchers because he says, and there's something to this, this is the best the baseball has ever been thrown. But you can't strengthen connective tissue. I mean, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's not like you're going to get guys to not try and throw as hard because that's all they want to draft. How hard do you throw? We're addicted to velocity. So if you're addicted to velocity, what do? That's why we'll ask Doug Glanville, who's smarter than both of us.
Yeah, and I saw his podcast partner on Starkville, Jason Stark, had a great article on The Athletic about what we've learned 60 games into the season. So it came out yesterday. Going into yesterday, including openers, there have been 254 different starting pitchers this year. That's 8.5 per team. And we've seen 246 pitchers go on the injured list. At this point right now in the season, it was at 225 last year. So went up 21 from last year already.
It's crazy. Coming up next, Doug Glanville, one of the smartest guys in baseball right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Chris Townsend. There are 2 things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Linksole, and you're going to love Linksole. They have just released their new spring line, new fabrics for their polos, lightweight and perfect for technical performance. Linksole also has new styles for their layers and hoodies with cool prints and seasonal colors. You know what they say in the big leagues: look good, play good. Go to linksole.com. That's linksole.com.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Thanks to the Xfinity 10G network, my little brother's friends won't leave our house. When I was their age, internet with basically no interruptions was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Now through April 23rd, new customers can get 200 megabit Xfinity internet during our limited time Xfinity 10G network launch celebration for just $25 a month for 2 years. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary.
It's Kids Cheer Free all summer long. Bring your kids ages 14 and younger to the ballpark on Sunday home games for free. After the game, race around the bases with Stomper on the same field that your favorite A's players do. Get your tickets now at athletics.com/kidsfree.
Hey, Billy,
This deck is great for getting everyone together. Thanks. We're really enjoying the outdoor space, especially on a day like today. What's the material? Humboldt Redwood from Ashby Lumber. They gave us a great deal, provided us with a quick quote, and we couldn't be happier. We even found a great contractor through their online contractor directory.
Don't miss a day outdoors. Visit Ashby Lumber in Berkeley or Concord to see our stock of naturally strong, naturally beautiful Humboldt Redwood. Find out more at ashbylumber.com for all your building needs. Ashby Lumber.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Series 1 Baseball. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
Streaming from the town, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, we always dub them one of the smartest guys in sports. Doug, it's great to have you back on the program. How are you? Can you hear us, Cody?
Down here. One sec. Okay, hit me up.
Can you hear us?
I got you.
Wow, I was just dubbing you one of the smartest guys in sports. You missed the whole thing.
Oh, I got you. Yep. Well, I had to get my high-tech stuff going here. How are you?
How are you? It's good to have you back on.
Yeah, great to be here, man. Appreciate it.
I don't know. I mean, you guys on the East Coast would have seen it before us. I don't know how much you've been following today's big action about the PGA Tour and Live Golf and the merger. They've been in a 2-year major lawsuit. You're talking about going after antitrust. It's the Saudi-backed league and the Saudi money. Have you followed any of that? And as someone who follows a lot of professional sports, what you make of when you got leagues merging like this when they were basically virtual enemies?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do follow it in that I do a show on Marquee Sports Network called Classes in Session. So we talk a lot about issues beyond baseball that intersect sport and social issues. And I teach the course at UConn. So they won the national champion. We had plenty to talk about. So one of the topics we went through was sports washing through the Olympics, and just talking about how nations may use or organizations may use sport to try to cover an image and lean into the best of sport to sort of redirect your attention to something else. But there's certain business realities the PGA seems to be up against that, it's like, I don't know, you can't beat them kind of thing. They're trying to figure out a way to, come up with a balanced solution. So that's the power of it. And it creates a lot of opportunities to discuss the significance of sports and the sort of the ethical questions that come with it.
Yeah, it's something that we've dealt with here in the Bay Area for a long time, as the A's years ago gave up their territorial rights of what we call the South Bay, basically San Jose and Silicon Valley and Santa Clara County, so the Giants could try and move to San Jose. They had 2 votes. Both votes failed. And then they almost moved to St. Petersburg. But in the very end, Peter McGowan and his group stepped in, saved the Giants, and now they built Pac Bell Park. Obviously, after all these years, it's now Oracle. But then the Giants never wanted to give the territorial rights back because they said they created all of this, the fans and the sponsors and everybody they got partly because of the territorial rights. And no one was ever going to sue, and no one was ever going to really, really challenge this because of baseball's antitrust protection. So when a lot of people always talk about, well, why doesn't this team do this and why doesn't that team do that? Well, the owners are not going to sue each other, and you can probably talk better than I can about this because they want to protect that antitrust protection.
Yeah, and although it's weakened a little bit over time through many cases of antitrust, there's still power in that, and they have a certain understanding. when it comes to territory, and that trickles into the minor leagues as well. I live in Connecticut, and in Hartford, the Yard Goats formed, and there was already a team in New Britain, Connecticut. So that was like a big battle about territory and AA versus AAA and all these things. So, just remember with the financing of the stadium in San Francisco, that was privately funded. And that was really unique and probably scared a lot of, it's like, wait a minute, we could go to the city. So why would we do that? Right. So it also creates some interesting conversations about private funding versus public. And when I think about the social issues around that, you come to discuss a lot of things about what your rights are as a player. Colin Kaepernick, right? Taking First Amendment rights, when you're with a public entity versus a private enterprise, right? And those are two different things. So I think it's fascinating, and I love going over it in my class and discussing it once a month on the show.
I can tell you, a lot of people watching this and a lot of people listening to this, and we'll have a ton of people who download this also. They would be fascinated with your class because we all like sports, but there becomes a point in all of us, we're so curious that we want to know how the business of sports really works. I'd love to take your class. I mean, obviously you're in Connecticut. Maybe I could do it online, but your class sounds fascinating.
Well, I love it. It was one of those moments I put it all together during a time where I was part of the wave of layoffs at ESPN. And I was like, these are all the things I wish I could talk about. And I wrote it all down. And I took it to my alma mater at Penn, and they were like, yeah, go ahead, see what you can do. So I taught it. And it started off as a communications class, which made sense with media. And then I moved it to political science at Yale. And then I went to UConn with their, sports power there, and broadened it. So I love it. I just look at the history of sports. I bring it to current events. I talk a lot of current events with the students. And I also use the ways that we engage social issues politically. I use the media side of it. I talk about the law and how that works. And the students love it. We have so much fun because I bring current events. There's so much stuff that goes on. You just mentioned Live Golf. I'm like, I would have brought that into class today and said, let's talk about it. So, it's a lot of fun. And I'm definitely looking to expand it beyond UConn. And so I'll keep you posted on that. But in the end, the students enjoy it and I enjoy it. I learn a lot from the students. So I feel like I'm a student in this too.
We've talked so much, A's fans, obviously everything that's going on with us, Nevada, Oakland, not signing players long-term. I heard about Jim Crane, and this just blew my mind, that after their last World Series, on the field as everybody's celebrating, they're hugging, it's the greatest thing ever. They're handing out the hats and the shirts and the confetti's going and everything, that Jim Crane was asked by a journalist about, hey, how do you keep this dynasty going? And Jim Crane basically goes, well, we have a 5-year plan to be able to replace anybody here. And I'm thinking about how cold-blooded is that on the field as you're celebrating winning the World Series, that when you get asked that question about, these are a great group of guys, we want to keep winning, you think, I can replace any of these guys in the next 5 years and I got a plan to do it. But they've been to the ALCS 6 straight years. They've been to 4 World Series. They've won 2. We as A's fans hate them and think they're a bunch of cheaters. But there's something to be said about that cold-hearted mentality. The Rays have it too. We want to love our players and buy jerseys and put up statues. But that really, in modern-day sports, is not that smart. Just talk about that. When you hear Jim Crane say that, it just sounds cold-blooded, but it also sounds very smart.
Yeah, and it is a lot to do with perspective. I mean, as a player, of course, that sends a chill down your spine. Like you are expendable, but you do learn that from your agent. And that's why in the finite time that you do have a career, you do try to maximize like what you can make. You try to earn what you can because that's it. It's a window. And pretty soon you're on the other side of that bell curve and you're expendable. And that's it. And pretty much everybody is. And we saw with Freddie Freeman in Atlanta. I mean, this is a partnership. You see, Freddie Freeman would be a Brave forever. And then like Alex Anthopoulos was like, okay, here's the window of time. And then what did he do? He got an Olsen who was younger and they could sign for longer term and have much more of a horizon, even though Freddie Freeman's still one of the best hitters in the game. It's just that, that cold-bloodedness, as you talked about, is part of like the business side that steps away from a little things that I relate to as a younger fan of oh yeah, my favorite player, Mike Schmidt, is going to be a Philly forever. That's a beautiful feeling. But you also ask yourself that question, I want my team to win, and is he part of that equation? And if you love someone like Mike Schmidt or you're a fan of someone, then you're like, the business side will say, well, we'll make him a coach. That's fine. He can still be there. Doesn't mean he's batting third in the lineup, right? So they can love you and make you a special assistant to the GM, but it doesn't mean they're going to pay you a lot of money if you're not still very productive.
Yeah, you bring up the Freddie Freeman thing. It was like the communication between the agent and the team. And I mean, there's two sides to it. There's always two sides to a story, what to believe. But, it sounded like Freddie was definitely hurt. First time he goes back there, he's in tears. And it sounds like I would have signed for what? And then now, I mean, if season ended today, the guy could be the National League MVP.
Yeah. He never skipped a beat. I know there was questions about like his challenge of leaving Atlanta, but what I loved about Freddie Freeman, and he's a great guy, is that it's truly the honest emotions you feel about getting traded and leaving. I was drafted by the Cubs, and they traded me to the Phillies, which was my childhood team, but I was still upset because I spent my whole year in minor leagues and winter ball in Puerto Rico, and I finally got to the point where I'd be a starter and they trade me. I was upset about that, right? And that feeling of still feeling like a Cub, even though the Phillies were the team I loved as a kid, and even though I had a better chance to start in Philadelphia. So there's a lot of pain in transition, and the vision of what you think and how it's going to end versus how it goes. And it rarely goes the way you expect, even for Derek Jeter, who probably wanted to hit 350 in his last year and hit like 210 or whatever. So, it's the transitions are hard, and Freeman, but he still was a pro. It wasn't like he said, oh, I'm going to not show up. He still destroyed his opponents. He might have been in through tears, but he still beat up on the Braves every chance he got.
We don't think about, we'll say, transition being tough on players. And our guy Marcus Semien right now, I mean, he's playing at a level where you're saying, hey, season ended today, American League MVP. He's got a 24-game hitting streak. He's absolutely red hot. I mean, he leaves Oakland, wanted to stay. It is what it is. Goes to Toronto. Toronto's on that, can't go home, can't play in Canada, got to play at these minor league facilities. I mean, it was just a wild 1 year for him there. And then he signs, and we know his family and his wife, and he and the wife, the boys, they head on to Texas, and they buy a new house and gets off to a slow start. And there was a lot going on for Marcus. And now that Marcus is situated, family's good, kids are good, get him into school, everything's normal again. Look how he's playing. We never really think about that with players. We just expect, we sign you, you get the money, you play well, and there's a lot more to it. And obviously you've experienced that.
Well, there's a whole lot more to it. And, family, it's something that's so powerful and so supportive in many ways, but also when they're not stabilized and you're not stabilized, it can really derail you. And that's the reality of, I didn't have kids while I was playing, but I certainly knew a lot of players that had kids, and it was really tough to get traded in the middle of a season or to try to find a house or something. You go on the road and someone breaks into your home, all this stuff. I mean, there's so many stories like that where players are distracted because of things that happen in their personal lives. In my case, my dad had a major stroke the last game of spring training in 2000. And it was horrible. And I tried to, get home, and my mom's like, wait till we come east, and we're opening the season against Randy Johnson. I mean, how are you going to hit this dude? And your dad's like, in a hospital on the East Coast. So, this is and I went through that for 3 years. My dad was in and out of the hospital. So, when you look at my bubblegum card, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I hit 325 in 99, and I never found that again. And there was 3 years of like torment, basically, of dealing with my dad being sick. And he ultimately passed away in 2002, the last game of the season. So that's just a small microcosm of, of what players deal with in real time when they talk about family and kids and having babies and guys, Austin Riley, guys who have young kids and they're just trying to figure it out. So it's tough. And eventually, if they get the right environment, they settle in and they find it again. But you got to keep your family safe, and you got to make sure that they have what they need.
Bob Nightingale just did an article, and it's something that we talk a lot about here on this show and trying to figure it out. And as he says in the title of this article in the USA Today, nightmare epidemic, elbow injuries. And there have been 30 pitchers that have undergone Tommy John surgery this year. We've had 12 in the month of May. Shoulder and elbow injuries are up 44%. And the orthopedist from the Mets says it's simply one thing. It's velocity. The ligaments, the connective tissue, you can't strengthen it. It is what it is, and the harder that you try and throw and maximize everything out of your body, the more injuries we're going to see. And our sport right now is so addicted to velocity. The front offices, the draft, amateur baseball, Tommy John surgery for high school kids, college kids. Do you think there's going to be ever a pullback, or is the toothpaste out of the tube, as they say, and it's never going back in?
Well, toothpaste may be out of the tube. And part of it is that as long as there is someone to come back and fill the void, the next guy in line is just going to take it. It's just like we just talked about Jim Crane, like the expendability. If you don't run out of the expendable and the supply is still there, we just keep going. And it's not that they don't care about this. They certainly want people to be healthy. And I think that there's so much science around it to create maximum velocity and max effort. And all that, you wondered where that would ultimately go, because fine, you go 4 innings or 5 innings as a starter, but you're throwing 100 and throwing as hard as you can. You say, I don't worry about it because I don't have to go 9 innings anymore as a starter, or I'm coming in for 3 batters and that's it, or 1 inning, just a lefty. I'm just maxing out because that's my window. I don't have to worry about going 5 innings. And you wonder if that science, or the sort of pseudoscience around, oh, I'm not pitching that long, doesn't actually translate to being healthier. And I'm sure the data is going to continue to come in, but it does seem like at some point, guys throwing 100 miles an hour consistently, it's hard to sustain that. And because it's so different than when I played. And did people become so scientifically better and so more in terms of superior athletes in that short period of time, 10 years ago, 15? Probably not. Something exponentially happened. And I don't know if the bodies are keeping up with it.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because it's like you're not that old. It's like you were just playing, it seems like. And the fact that, you get a rare guy to throw that hard, and now everybody throws that hard. And now we're watching college baseball, and we got guys hitting 100 miles an hour on a routine basis. I played college baseball in the early 90s. Nobody threw 100. Nobody threw high 90s. A guy blowing gas was 94, 95. If you threw 90, you were throwing hard. And now 94, 95 is no big deal. We see regular lefties coming out of pin throwing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's everybody throws hard, and it's partly because they want to, that's what it's the emphasis, like throw hard. And the data's in about like how hard it is to hit. You put some movement on it, and that's it. You're just going to miss, get swing and miss and get chase. So it's effective. That's why they do it. But look, Kurt Schilling, I played with guys like that. Like he would used to say, like, I had, 2 or 3 different moments where I could go 99, 98, and I'd pick my spots. He could throw that hard. He just elected not to, because he was, I have to go 9 innings. He had other goals in mind, and he pitched through that to use his defense and so on. So there's a lot of guys I'm sure could have thrown harder and decided not to because they were more effective in thinking through the mentality of pitching longer. We're talking particularly in starters. And that's a big mentality shift that we have today.
Yeah, your buddy Jason Stark has come out with a good article about the first part of the season. It's like teams are averaging so far 8.5 starters. 8.5. I mean, we're just in June. I think about the trading deadline coming up, because I know we're one of the teams, because there's going to be way more with expanded playoffs. There's way more buyers than sellers. And even if you probably should be a seller, you don't want to look like a seller, because then all of a sudden no one's going to show up to your games if they think you wave the white flag. So just when we start to look at the trading deadline, and all the GMs and assistant GMs are starting to talk right now and plant the seeds, just how tough is that looking for pitching when there's way more buyers than sellers, and so many guys are getting hurt? You don't even, I mean, where are we going to get all these arms? You just can't go to like Home Depot and go to Arms Depot and get guys.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, it's sometimes it's your depth in the minor leagues. You get a guy that comes from Double A, like I saw Bobby Miller, a pitcher for the Dodgers. Not a whole lot of minor league experience, but they're like, he throws 100, so there he was, and he shut the Yankees down for 6 innings. So you might just get guys that you can piecemeal in, and then while a guy like Julio Urias or guys are hurt and you're waiting for them to come back, that becomes your trade. Get this guy, get Jacob deGrom healthy. There's your trade. So you have to look a little bit internally, look in your minor league system. And if not, you hope there's a team like the Brewers were last year that you're like, well, they're not out of it. They're actually in it, but they're still going to trade Josh Hader because they think they have a good option in their bullpen already. They felt like they had an embarrassment of riches, so to speak. So maybe that's true again this year. Corbin Burns or something. They're like, well, they're not out of it, but they still will move a guy. And that's where that's what you start to see sometimes with this like upside down supply and demand of what we're used to. There's more demand out there for these pitchers, and there just isn't a lot of guys.
Let's end on this. As you know, we're going through a really tough season right now. The A's are 12-50, and it's one of the worst seasons we've seen since 1900. If you could, it's like being a professor, being like a dad, being like a confidant, a therapist. If you could give a message to Mark Kotze and the staff, to the current players, what would that message be?
I would just say 2 words: Arizona Diamondbacks. These guys were destroyed a couple years ago. A bunch of young kids didn't know what they were doing, and they just said, let's just get experience. Let's put them out there. And you start to see guys make adjustments and slowly figure it out. You add a piece or two, you find some veteran in there, and all of a sudden you could be in a different position. It's not a lack of talent. We could look at 12-50, but if I got in the batter's box against some of these guys, I am sure it'd be a nightmare because these guys throw hard. Look, the A's pitching, they're giving up a ton of home runs. The command, but if they keep improving, and that can change really quickly. So I just think it's a matter of time. And if they can commit and keep guys, right, build from that and not be a farm system for another organization and add some pieces, then what I've seen from the Diamondbacks and other teams, it could turn around really quickly.
Well, I always say it, we're a lot smarter when we have you on the program. It's always an honor to have you on. It's great to watch your career grow from a player to do all the things that you're doing in our game, from a broadcaster to a professor. It's really awesome stuff. So always, thank you very much. We truly appreciate the time, and let's talk later on during the season.
Always a pleasure. And A's Cast, one of my favorites. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. The great Doug Glanville. That guy, I mean, professor at UConn, broadcaster, podcaster, author, writer. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. Oh, he does stuff on Marquee also for the Cubs as broadcasting. So,
well, I said broadcaster.
Yeah, he does. He has multiple hats with broadcasting.
Yeah,
podcast.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, his career has been. You know what we like to say about ourselves, and I'm giving you time to get the breaking news sounder.
I already have it ready.
Okay, you've been texting me. Cody's texting me just to give you a little insight. And why do I keep looking right today? Is because Cody took you have the iPad in Pittsburgh, don't you?
Yes, it's actually right here. That's how we're able to see this. The view of PNC Park.
Yeah, that's the iPad of how I see the show normally. So right now I'm looking at a blank camera, so I can't see anything unless I look over to my right. But when we joke, and it's what we want to be. We're multimedia. This is where the world is going. As if you haven't been following the issues with cable television and baseball, this is where everything is going. And so you got to be doing a lot of different things. So when you talk multimedia, which we want to be, athletics.com/AceCast. You can listen to us. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitter. You can watch us on Facebook. Our stuff pops up on NBC Sports California. We want to be everywhere. And that's what Doug Glanville is doing, and really smart. How many guys, and I knew that I could bring up the PGA Tour and Live Golf merger, and the DP World Tour. For people who don't follow golf, was the European Tour. It's now the DP World Tour. So you've got the PGA Tour, Live Golf, the devil to them, and the DP Tour, World Tour, The DP World Tour and the PGA Tour connected while Live Golf was the devil backed by they've now all merged and no one knew about it. And it's crazy. The business of sports. And I knew Cody, I could ask him about it. And doesn't he just like, boom, has a great answer?
Yeah. I mean, the guy knows everything. He's the smartest guy in baseball. I mean, you say it all the time. I mean, he teaches at UConn. That's a pretty good school. And he went to Penn. No,
well, so it sounds like he did classes at Penn, Yale, and then now lives in Connecticut and then did it with UConn. All right, breaking news in baseball. Breaking, and I mean major, major, major news. Live from the ABC Sports Desk in New York, I'm Chris Townsend. So as I'm doing the Doug Glanville interview, my phone's going bzz, bzz, bzz. We have breaking news on Jacob deGrom, who was the big free agent for the Texas Rangers. It was a heartbreak for Mets fans, because you got Uncle Steve there who's got all the money. Steve Cohen, the owner, worth $16 billion, the hedge fund guy. deGrom gets a deal from the Rangers. Was it 5 for $185? Was that the deal?
Correct. Yeah, 5 for $185.
5 for $185. Doesn't even take the deal back to the Mets. Just, I'm going with the Rangers. Shocked everybody in baseball. They made the commitment. The Rangers had told us that, they're going to make commitment on hitters. That was Seager and Semien. Then Seager and Semien. That's a double S right there. And then they're going to make the big deal for pitchers. And right now, the Rangers are having an unbelievable season under Bruce Bochy. The Texas Rangers are 39-20. They have arguably the best offense in baseball. They are rolling. They are feeling it. And then this.
So from Evan Grant, who covers the Rangers for I believe it's the Dallas Morning News.
Dallas Morning News.
Jacob deGrom will undergo Tommy John surgery to repair a tear in his UCL, or the ulnar collateral ligament. Then he goes on to explain more. He said story forthcoming. To clarify, full extent of surgery will be determined once Dr. Keith Meister, who did the surgery on 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, gets inside of the elbow. For now, ligament repair. That doesn't rule out something like an internal brace. Either way, out at least 12 months.
Okay. Didn't I start the story with the article from Bob Nightingale in the USA Today about the epidemic of elbow injuries?
Correct.
Make that now 31 pitchers on the year to have Tommy John surgery. 12 in May. This will be, I guess, the first one in June. My God, this is his second Tommy John surgery. I believe, did he have it in college or the minor leagues?
I think it was, I want to say maybe it was college, but I'd have to look to see when he had it. I thought it was college, but let me look.
You guys have sold me and I do not want, if there was ever a time, I don't want to say I told you so. I don't want to do that. But deGrom is overrated. You guys with this, he's the greatest pitcher of all time, future Hall of Famer, best pitcher in the game, because you're addicted to data. You're addicted to the velocity. Look how hard he throws. His slider is the best in baseball at 92, 93 miles an hour, but he can never stay healthy. So what? Because you just wanted him to go out there for 5 or 6 innings and strike everybody out, and you told me wins don't matter, which, oh, by the way, you're lucky I don't have time to maybe get to that today. I have a whole thing about pitchers' wins and who are the top teams in baseball. So wins don't matter because of Jacob deGrom. Remember you used to sell that crap with me? Wins don't matter because of deGrom, because he only goes 6 innings and he doesn't get the win. You and the rest of you guys have been selling a bill of goods. There you go. There's your best pitcher of all time. There's your guy. Can't make it. Still hurt, always hurt, not reliable, and you think he's the greatest thing ever. Well, that's your greatest thing ever. Now, we're in June. So the Rangers maybe get him back for next year. He's still got to have the surgery. 12 months? Well, 12 months, that's next June.
And it'll be 36 then. He had the first one in October of 2010. He was in the minor leagues. Remember, he was a shortstop in college. And then he switched to being a pitcher and I don't know if he did it at Stetson University where he played in Florida, or if he just did it when he joined the Mets minor league system. And he didn't debut until he's 26. But yeah, this is 5 years, $185 million, and right down the drain. Well, not so far, but disastrous first year and a half probably for the Rangers with Jacob deGrom.
You guys have been selling this guy even his Cy Young Awards, he was barely 200 innings. He is the poster boy for this article. Throw as hard as you pitch like a closer, throw as hard as you can, and you're not going to go deep in games. And protect him, protect him, protect him. You've protected this guy as much as you could protect a guy. I don't know if there's ever been a pitcher who's won 2 Cy Young Awards, and everybody said it was so great. I mean, Eno Saris on this show last week still had him as the best pitcher in baseball, and he can't pitch.
Yeah, that's the only guy.
Mike Petriello. Oh, deGrom. You guys are so fascinated. You admit it. You're addicted to velocity. You're not addicted to great pitching. You're not addicted. You're addicted to strikeouts and velocity. Admit it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how the game's being evaluated now. Hopefully we see return the guys like Maddox and guys that pitch deep in the games, but you mentioned guys that were babied. The only guy I could think of that got babied, he's number one aside, but he signed a big deal and he has some nerve damage, is Steven Strasburg. Remember? And that sat him up for an entire postseason run because they wanted to save his arm. And
how'd that work out?
He might never pitch again.
He's not going to pitch again. Steven Strasburg's done. He's got nerve damage. He's been out for so long. It's not like all of a sudden he's going to wake up one day, hey, everything's good again. He's had the surgery. I'll go fine. I'll be the Debbie Downer on this, but you're not doing any. First of all, you're turning all these pitchers into throwers, not pitchers, and they can't stay healthy. And you're asking them to take their bodies to the max, run the car at full speed at all times, and it breaks down. And it's unfortunate because if Jacob deGrom didn't throw 99 every pitch and his slider wasn't 92, 93 every pitch, if he threw 95 and the slider at 89 and didn't put the pressure on his arm the way he does on every single pitch, would he be healthy? Now that's a hypothetical, and I got Jim Harbaugh in my ears going, hypotheticals. But I just wonder, if we weren't all trying to go all out on every single pitch, that's fastball, that's breaking balls, would a guy be able to sustain a better career?
I think in his case, yeah, probably. I mean, we don't know for sure, but I think it'd be a good correlation if he didn't throw as hard and didn't have as much break or throw his slider as hard. I think he would have stayed healthier longer. I mean, it's a shame because we saw how good he was when he pitched, but he doesn't pitch. I mean, I just looked at Strasburg. Since 2019, Strasburg has thrown 31 in the third inning since he signed that deal. 31 in the third since 2019.
But, you are kind of a hypocrite. Oh, it's a shame. Well, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. This is what you like. And this is what so many people in baseball liked. I mean, I can find you countless videos, countless articles. Oh, deGrom, fawning over deGrom. Countless. He can't stay healthy because you're asking him to do something his body can't do. But you loved it. You loved it. You're addicted to it. You're addicted to these guys doing stuff that's going to change their lives. When you have Tommy John surgery, it changes your life. When you have Tommy John surgery for a second time, even a third time, dramatically change your life. But people like, I'm going to say it, Cody and all these people in the front office, they don't care. Tampa Bay Rays don't care that they're burning out pitchers. Surgeries after surgeries after surgeries. No one really knows about. What was that article from? Was it the Tampa Bay Times or the St. Petersburg, whatever, where it talked about, hey, a lot of people aren't watching this, but Rays have more hurt pitchers than anybody in baseball. But at the same time, everybody was praising them. Oh, look at all the bullpenning. Look at all the openers. Look how great the Rays are. And none of their pitchers are staying healthy. Nobody cares. You don't care about the players. Would we be like this in football? Hey, do this, and you guys are all going to blow out your knees. But don't worry, we'll all go through major reconstructive surgery with our knees. No, but we're doing this in baseball because you guys don't care. Turn and burn, baby. Throw as hard as you can. Go to Tommy John. I don't care. I'll pick up – wait for it, Cody. I'll pick up another guy on my fantasy team.
Yeah, the Rays are the best example of that. I mean, we saw how many times has Glasnow been hurt since he's been there. Shane Baz, another guy who they highly coveted, and he pitched a few games in that same trade. They lost Drew Rasmussen already this year. Jeffrey Springs, who he doesn't throw hard, but he's another guy who had Tommy John, who was doing well for them this year. I mean, they've lost so many guys over the years because of they develop these guys, but then they also lose them. How many Tommy Johns?
I just remember Drew Rasmussen, who's already a Tommy John's guy. He's got a flexor tendon problem in his elbow.
Yeah, and he's
got
out.
him. He's out. I mean, it's just this is like, what are we doing? Do we not value these human beings and their skill to throw a baseball? That we're just going to say, we know. I mean, Mason Miller, we know he's going to blow. We know he's going to get hurt, but we'll just pitch him till he does, and we'll see. Have we heard anything about Mason Miller?
Not that I have, no.
Nope.
I'm sure you haven't.
Nope. Just another guy throws really hard on the shelf, and I don't know. I think it's sad. I think it's really, really sad that Jacob deGrom, who has a Hall of Fame arm, who I have said is not a Hall of Famer yet, and people tried to argue with me that he is, and now he's on the shelf again till, what is he? He'll be 36 now. When does he turn 37?
I think he's 35 right now, so he'll be 36 probably and either before or during the year next year. DeGrom's only 35. He turns 30.
He's only 35?
Sorry, he's only 34. He turns 35 June 19th. So he'd be 36 next year, right around the time he would probably, if he returns in 12 months, which he probably won't.
So he's coming back from a second Tommy John at 36 years old. Yeah. Unbelievable. But you know what, man? Hey, all those games you pulled him because that was going to save him. All those games, the Mets pulled him early to save him, only for him to go to the Rangers and get hurt. Unbelievable.
Well, we also saw another thing happen today with another, teams per, everyone tabbed him an ace. Alek Manoah is now pitching in like the Florida Complex League for the Blue Jays because of how bad he's been this year for them. That came out earlier too. So he's another guy that's not going to be here. He's not an injury. He's just not here because he's not performing.
That's a whole different ball game. He's out of shape. We had that in the post-game show last night where you looked at the Blue Jays losing and you're like, he's 1-7? He's 1-7. That is just that is unbelievable. But yeah, where are we going to get? What did you say, the Jason Stark article? 8 teams are averaging 8.5 starters already, and there's been how many?
So teams are, including openers, there have been 250. This is going into game 60, so yesterday when he wrote the article, it was released. Including openers, there have been 254 different starting pitchers so far this year. That's about 8.5 per team. The number of pitchers on the injured list at this point last year was 225. It's already jumped to 246 right now. And then he had, this is before deGrom, 75 pitchers are on the IL with the elbow trouble and 59 with shoulder problems over the first 63 days of the season. 75 on the IL for elbow, 59 for shoulder in the first, 63 days of the season.
I mean, where are we going to find all these guys? Where are we going to find all these pitchers? And we're drafting guys that have already had Tommy John surgery. We're drafting a lot of them. First rounders that you're giving big money to. I mean, look at Kumar Rocker here. Kumar Rocker was selected by the Mets. They really looked at the medicals and went, Then he goes back into the draft, and then he goes to the Rangers. And what happens? He's got Tommy John surgery. Kumar Rocker was out of Vanderbilt with Jack Leiter, Al Leiter's kid. They were supposed to, at one point, join Jacob deGrom in the rotation and be the future John Gray, obviously John Gray's thrown the ball well, but that they were supposed to join this revolution of pitchers coming to Texas to go with the hitting and Texas becoming a juggernaut. And you know what? Neither of these, you're not going to have deGrom or Kumar Rocker for a long time. And who knows? And now, Mark, the Texas, now think about you're the Texas Rangers. You're off to this, you're off to this great, I didn't even look at their page today in the notes. I'm sure they have some great stuff in there. But they have been, Marcus Semion's off to a 24-game hitting streak. Yeah, they're playing the Cardinals, who, by the way, and what, hey, is it safe to say the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the paper in St. Louis, is not saying it's early anymore?
Yeah, I think it's panic time in St. Louis.
It's panic time. Where's the panic button? You can't say panic without having the button. So the Rangers are a win away. So this is all through the lens of Jacob deGrom is now out for the year. This is a guy that they planned on if they're going to the playoffs. He's starting game 1. He's your, wait for it, Bruce Bochy, he's your horse.
Well done.
Your horse has been taken out back. Rangers are a win away from joining the Rays as the only teams across Major League Baseball with 40 wins this season. It would be the fastest by games the Rangers have ever reached the milestone. Rangers have had good teams. They represented the American League twice, back-to-back years, with our guy Wash at the helm in the World Series. They had those good playoff teams with Pudge and Juan Gone back in the day. So this Rangers team would be the fastest by games to ever reach 40 wins. A win would put the Rangers 20 games over 500 for the first time since they won the American League West in 2016. They've won 13 of their last 16. The Rangers have won 20 of 28 games at Globe Life Field, second best to Tampa Bay. A win would give the Rangers their first 8-game win streak at home since 2017. Reigning AL Player of the Week, Corey Seager, has multiple hits in 5 consecutive games. He's 11 for 22, batting .500, 4 extra base hits, and 6 RBIs. Marcus Semien hitting .333, 20 RBIs, 26 runs. 20 RBIs and 26 runs and a 24-game hitting streak. It's the longest hitting streak across the majors. Nathaniel Lowe, he's hitting .353, 5 RBIs, last 4 games on the homestand. They are balling right now. They are scoring runs. They are pitching. They're the Texas Rangers. They've won 4 in a row. They're in first place. And then 5 years, $185 million. You sign a guy, and he is done.
There's more from Evan Grant. This is from deGrom. This is exact tweet he sent out. deGrom through tears. This stinks. It's not ideal, but at least we know what it is now. I want to get it fixed, and we'll set a goal to be back before the end of next year. Evan reports he will undergo surgery next week.
Okay, if you think of how babied Jacob deGrom has been when he's healthy, okay? We're going to Nashville for the winter meetings?
Yeah, that's where it is.
I literally, mark my words, mark the tape. Anybody who tells me, well, Jacob deGrom will be back next year, I'm going to stop them and say, respectfully, I can't listen to that. Because even when he comes back, you're going to baby him so much he'll be a non-factor. That will be something that will be played out throughout the offseason. I don't know. Rangers right now, we had the do you have it, Cody? The projections. The projections came out for where we are right now for playoffs.
Oh, you mean the Fangraphs playoff odds?
So they have the start of the year. You know who had them? I'll look at it real quick. Our old buddy, Bobby Nightingale. Nightingale just busting out all kinds of stuff. I believe Bob had it last night. Hold on.
Well, right now they have the Rangers at an 80.9% chance to make the playoffs according to Fangraphs. And they have them at 40.5 to win the division. So they still like the Astros.
Okay, so the Rangers started the year at 82.5, correct?
Oh, win total? Yeah, I believe that's right around where it was.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Bob Nightingale's tweet from last night. They had the Rangers at 82.5. They now have the Rangers win total at 93.5. And yes, they still have, and this is from Bet Online. By the way, this is, forget Fangraphs. These are the guys that are playing for cash. Fangraphs doesn't play for cash. Fangraphs plays for the nerds online. We're down talking about people who play for real money. Astros, 95.5 to open the season. Now they have them just at 94.5. So the Texas Rangers are projected to go to the postseason. And now to do it without their guy. And I'm telling you, we're going to hear it, and I'm going to have to go. I respectfully disagree. You know as good as well as I do, Cody, in the offseason, no matter what happens to the Rangers this year, playoffs, hell, maybe they win the World Series. But you know as well as I do, they're going to be selling in the offseason. Well, when we get deGrom back.
Oh, 100%. They're going to be like, well, you know, that's going to be better than acquiring somebody at the deadline. We're going to have deGrom.
Got deGrom back, and I'm going to be like, oh, really? You getting deGrom back, huh? To do what? He's going to pitch? How much is he going to pitch? That new arm that he's got at 36 years old? When he comes back, he'll be 36 years old. He'll age a year and a half, basically. He's gonna what? He's gonna come back and be a horse. He's gonna be your Matt Cain. He's your horse there, Bruce Bochy. No, he won't. You're gonna baby him. He'll come out and throw like 4 innings. That's all he'll be. Now, could that be a weapon out of the bullpen? Maybe. But Jacob deGrom coming back next year, starting once every 5 days, is an absolute pipe dream. He hasn't done it in years. Remember how many times we gave you here on A's Cast Live how many starts he's had over the years? He's had basically none. He's barely pitched for years. When's the last time? Look it up. When is the last time Jacob deGrom gave you 25 starts in a season?
I want to say it's 2019 because he threw 204 innings. Since then, he's had 44 starts.
I'm not even going to – what year?
2019.
And how many starts?
Let me look it up. He had 204 innings, so that's well over 25 starts. But I'm looking at his page right now. deGrom in 2019 had 32 starts.
Yeah. What year is it?
2023. Since then, since 2019 when he had the 204 innings pitched, he's had 44 starts, 254 and 2/3 innings pitched since then.
Think about that. They acted like 204 innings was like, whoa, that's a good year. The only reason why innings and the pitcher win doesn't matter anymore is because you don't do things that allow pitchers to get the innings and the wins. So, yeah, you can go say it doesn't matter anymore, but it's because you've changed what you want pitchers to do. Like all of a sudden, and this will be a dramatic example, if all of a sudden we never run the football, ever. Running backs never run the foot. Would 1,000 yards mean anything? Would rushing touchdowns mean anything if you never run the football anymore? If the quarterback sits in shotgun and throws it every single down, would the running back position mean anything anymore?
No.
But does that mean that's better football?
No, not particularly.
So that's basically what you and all your buddies have done. And I'll bring Amelia Schimmel into this. As you say, oh, the win doesn't matter. Well, you've changed the game. When you've changed completely how you've played, yeah. Now a guy like deGrom, who he's considered the greatest pitcher ever, can barely go 200 innings. And that's in a healthy year. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. And now you have Jason Stark. Like, you should be alarmed as a baseball fan of Jason Stark's article. I know you sent it to me. I haven't looked at it. But you should be alarmed that we're already, every single team has used probably 9 to, I don't know. How many starters have we used? We're a bad example, though. But if the average team's using basically 9 starters already in a season, 9, the average team. We had Perry
Manassian.
Perry Manassian, Angels, is he VP or is he just GM?
He's the GM. By the way, we've used 11 starters this year already.
We used 11 starters. We're in June. Perry Manassian went on Sirius XM. It was a couple of years ago, and I'm working out.
Last year.
Huh?
It was last year.
It was last year?
It was last year.
It was before the season. It wasn't during the season.
Yeah, no, it was before last season. I mean, it was 2022, going to the 2022 season.
Was that his first year? Was last year his first year on the gig?
Let me double check that. Not sure on that one.
So Perry Manassian goes on Sirius XM. As I tell you, don't worry. I listen to all this stuff. You don't have to. He goes on and says, our research shows that the average team will use 13 starting pitchers in a year. And the host, I don't remember which show he was on, the hosts were like, what? Really? And everybody was like, oh, yeah. Wasn't that long ago where the A's took on a Detroit Tigers team in the playoffs. It was either the 12 or 13 Tigers only used 7 starters. I mean, back in the day, 7, 8 starters, that's what people used.
I think it was 2013. I'm looking up. By the way, I just did a comparison with who the A's are playing today. The Pirates have used 6 starting pitchers. So they're below the norm. But
by the way, Pirates are one of the top teams with A's starter wins. Where are the Pirates?
They're winning. But they were one of the – it's crazy. They were one of the worst last year. And Mitch Keller is one of the worst.
They're in first place.
First time since June of 2013 they were in first place after June 1st.
Codified Baseball had it last night on Twitter. Who are the top teams and pitchers wins? It's the Rays, first place. It's the Rangers, first place. It's the Pirates, first place. I know I'm getting on my high horse, but this whole deGrom thing has started it. It's this. I'm telling you, go look at the article, USA Today, an epidemic in our game about these injuries. It's absolutely crazy, and it's not going to stop. And it's not going to stop. And now it's like it's almost like you're insane to give a pitcher big money. I mean, what was the Rodon deal for the Yankees?
Let me find that one. It was it 160, somewhere like 160. By the way,
pitch. We're June. What's today? The 5th or the 6th?
Today's the 6th. D-Day. 6 for 162.
6 for 162. deGrom 5 for 185. And deGrom gave you how many starts? 5 or 6?
deGrom this year had 6 starts.
6 starts. Rodon 0. So let me go back to that number. Verlander, deGrom, Rodon. 3 pitchers signed for $436.6 million. $433.6 million. You're kind of looking up, and there's $500 million.
And they made 12 starts. deGrom's made 6 also.
They've made 12 starts for 60. They've made 12 starts for 66 and a third innings. 0 starts from Rodon, 6 starts from deGrom. Boom. If we don't see this as a major problem, I'll let you know. I sent this article this morning to Scott Emerson. And I know Scott Emerson, great pitching coach for the Oakland Athletics. We talk about it all the time. This is some scary stuff. Now, we do have to get in some positives. One of the positives, Luis Arraez. I am having a lot of fun with this because for me, seeing a guy do what he's doing, hitting .399 right now. The last qualified player with a batting average at 400 or better this late in the season, you got to go back to Chipper Jones in 2008. Chipper Jones. I mean, I was sending Cody all these different things about Tony Gwynn. This is probably what we are seeing, the first guy that sniffs Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was amazing. When you look at the last 30 regular seasons, to have at least 7 times more base hits than strikeouts. Tony Gwynn didn't strike out. I was somewhere on Instagram where somebody was interviewing John Smoltz. Smoltz said between Maddox, Smoltz, and Pedro Martinez, between the 3 of the Hall of Famers, they only struck him out twice. So we're talking about last 30 regular seasons, at least 7 times more base hits than strikeouts. Tony Gwynn in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and Luis Arraez 2023 so far this year. That is amazing. That's some guy I want to talk. This is a great story. Also a great story, the Pirates. We'll raise the Jolly Roger next right here on A's Cast Live.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer, like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Linksole, and you're going to love Linksole. They have just released their new spring line, new fabrics for their polos, lightweight and perfect for technical performance. Linksole also has new styles for their layers and hoodies with cool prints and seasonal colors. You know what they say in the big leagues: look good, play good. Go to linksole.com. That's linksole.com.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
And the underdogs, Oakland Athletics, win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-FOR-ME or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Serrata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Like sports, business is about winning. Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
Ace fans need Friday night plans? Well, we got you covered. Get 4 tickets and parking for any Friday night game starting at just $49 with the Friday 4-pack presented by Chevrolet. Save big and enjoy great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more this 2023 season.
He drills one to right, way back, and no doubt. And that quickly, the A's have taken the lead. Second deck.
Friday night tickets are available at athletics.com/value. That's athletics.com/value.
If you're looking for the latest green and gold gear for the 2023 season, then look no further than athletics.com/shop for your officially licensed gear. That's athletics.com/shop.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Is convenience a state of mind or a real thing? At Extra Mile, it's a real thing, and it's in everything they do. The stores are spacious, organized, clean, and well lit, so you can get in quickly, get what you need, and keep going. It's just what you'd expect from a place serving up the hot and fresh food and snacks you love. So treat you right, and check out Extra Mile's fresh take on the convenience store experience. Extra Mile convenience stores at select Chevron and Texaco locations.
Calling all kids. It's Kids Cheer Free all summer long. Bring your kids ages 14 and under to the ballpark on Sunday home games for free. After cheering on your green and gold, race around the bases with Stomper on the same field that your favorite A's players do. Get your tickets now at athletics.com/kidsfree. That's athletics.com/kidsfree.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
Yeah, Greg Brown is the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates and the famous call, "Raise the Jolly Roger." I got to say, my friend, you've been raising a lot of Jolly Roger this season. It's got to be a lot of fun.
Way more fun, Chris, when you win, of course. And I don't know if I've talked to you in the past about Raise the Jolly Roger, but I've told the story that started using it, I think, toward the end of maybe very last year or so of Three River Stadium. So this place opened up, PNC Park, in 2001, and the losing continued 2001 until they started to get pretty good in 2011 and 12 is when they really turned. In fact, I was looking at 2010, looking at the A's road record. The Pirates won something like maybe 20 road games, 105 loss season. And so we've been there. But the point is that around 2011, 2012, they started to turn the corner, then went to the postseason, 13, 14, 15. Only then did people actually even know that was the call I used. So and they go, wow, what a cool call. And I said, I've been doing this for about 20 years. So anyway, when we started to win, that's when people started to take notice.
Well, you said 2001. It makes me think back to what was then Pac Bell Park. I was on the Giants station doing the morning show, and we opened that stadium. The very first ever official game was opening day against the Dodgers, and Kevin Elster hit 3 home runs, and it was wild. And to think back, it doesn't seem like that long ago that a place like PNC Park or Pac Bell Park, now Oracle Park, opened up these unbelievable great stadiums, and we see the view behind you. I don't want to feel old. It doesn't seem like PNC Park has been around that long.
You don't want to feel old.
No.
I mean, come on. I was around at Three River Stadium and now here, and it is hard to believe though 2001. But that view just never gets old. Yeah, anybody that we bring up to maybe give a tour of the radio and TV booths, whether it be a client, friend, fan, without fail, they walk in there, their jaw drops because of the spectacular view. I've said over the years, and it's something that we should never take for granted. And I'm not suggesting you are or that you would, but I have to remind myself that oftentimes, especially during the bad times when the team has struggled, and it's been a lot of years. Way more often we have struggled than when we have won. But you really do have to almost pinch yourself and take a look at that view. I've said forever, Chris, that it's so unreal. It really does look like a postcard, and it looks like you could reach around and just grab the skyscrapers and hug them. They look that close. They're just right on you. It's a perfect setting for a baseball park.
Yeah, when Cody first put the camera up and we could see it, it was like, this is like a painting. It's like a picture. It's like you can't believe. I mean, if there was ever a park and a design and construction that got it absolutely right, it's there in Pittsburgh. And I said this to Derek Shelton yesterday, having our cameras from that perspective made me realize, my God, that home run into the Allegheny River, that is a huge home run.
Yeah, it's a poke. It's now there have been a lot of balls that have bounced onto the Riverwalk into the river. They keep track of that, but they also keep track of those that just go on the fly, and that's less than a dozen. I want to say there have been 9. Maybe that's a stretch. All time. And I remember when this place opened up vividly when we came out of spring training in 2001. So it had been a couple of months. When I had left this place, and they hadn't put all the seats in, and it was certainly taking shape, but flew in to Pittsburgh Airport, bus to the brand new ballpark. Players get off the buses. I'm, with the players and stuff, the team traveling party, go into the clubhouse, gather some things, but then walking out onto the field from the tunnel, from the clubhouse through the dugout steps, and just watching the player reactions. It was something I will never forget. And I remember asking Brian Giles early on that 2001 season, who was a left-handed power hitter. And I said, 320 feet to right field, that's an easy poke for you, isn't it? And he goes, do you have any idea how hard it is to hit a ball 320 feet, but then get enough lift on it? This was before, of course, exit velos and launch angles. 21-foot high wall, which is, of course, a tribute to Roberto Clemente. That wall in right field is 21 feet high. And it's so true, because I watched left-handed hitters over the years try and get that lift even to this day, and it's just not that easy. So to try and hit balls, not that you're trying to now hit balls into the river, but to be able to do that is quite a feat.
When I think about Pittsburgh and sports history, and obviously the Steelers are one of the great American sports franchises with all their championships and great players. I think about the run with the Penguins, and they've had such great players, some of the best in the history of the National Hockey League. And then I think of the Pirates, some of the great Pirate teams, as you're just mentioning Roberto Clemente. When I'm growing up, I'm thinking, about Willie Stargell and Dave Parker and Bill Madlock and Kent Tekulve and those guys. And then here comes Bonds and Bonilla and Slyke. There's always been such great tradition. What does it mean for this city heading into summer? Things have thawed out. You've gotten through the spring, starting to get warm, starting to get humid, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in first place.
To be relevant at this stage is almost unbelievable. It is the last time they were within a game or two of first place, let alone in first place, was 2013. It's been 10 years since they even sniffed the top of the division. So it's so much fun for this team to be relevant, because the talk shows around here, Chris, by this time, and this is fact-based, I'm telling you right now, they don't talk Pirates baseball even in June. In May, they don't. They talk Penguin hockey. Now, the Penguins got eliminated. They didn't even reach the playoffs. They'll talk NFL draft. They'll talk Steeler minicamp. They'll talk NFL draft, anything but Pirates baseball. They just, again, they have not been on the radar screen of frankly, Pirate fans, but certainly media. But now the Pirates are forcing the pundits and the writing and the electronic press, and again, talk show hosts and so on, to talk Pittsburgh Pirates. And there is a buzz. Last night that crowd wasn't great. It was about 12,000, but I can promise you, if this had taken place a year ago and the Pirates hosted almost any team, not just the fact that the A's aren't playing well.
It's okay.
It's really,
we're used to it at this point.
I got to tell you, I've talked to announcers over the years, and they have come on without fail. They'll come into the radio booth here or the TV booth or on the road. I was in Colorado and talked to, and everybody means well, but they'll come in, and one of the guys walked in maybe between innings, and I think we were beating the Rockies pretty good. We swept that series, and one of the color analysts said to me, and I forget whether I was working with Neil Walker, but oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about? We're getting beat in the third inning. What are we going to do? And I put my hand up. I go, get out of this booth. Go talk to somebody that hasn't been through, for me, this is my 30th year. And so for the first 29 years, Chris, 25 of the 29 years have been losing seasons. So, don't talk to me. Don't cry on my shoulder. No sympathy here. So, but I will say, having that knowledge and that background, I can sympathize with the A's, and I will not, rip on them. I won't take any cheap shots, because I know how hard it is to win. I know how tough it is to go through losing seasons and watching a tough team. It's not easy. Winning in professional sports is very, very difficult, and baseball is one of the most toughest sports to play. So I feel for the A's and their fans.
Well, I tell you what, somebody said this to me over at NBC when I'm doing the pre and post game show over there on television, where they're like, "Oh man, I don't know how you're doing it this year." And I said, "Hey, listen, it's easy to do winning seasons when we've been winning in the playoff, and the A's have been to the playoffs a lot. When you think 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, no one should feel sorry for us because and then you go back to the early 2000s, we've been to the playoffs a lot since the year 2000. But where your true mark is a professional is if you can produce great content in a losing season.
Well,
and that's what I try. Cody, who's there in the booth with you,
yep.
Everybody, I try and say, hey, we can do stuff when the Giants have been winning World Series in our neighborhood, everything's easy. Well, how do you do it when you're not winning? And that's what we're doing here. And you had to do, the Pirates, we're talking 20 years straight of going under 500. That's tough to do.
You can put, when you're winning in sports, you could put a fifth grader in the booth, put a headset on him or her. You could put a dog, a puppy, put a headset. It doesn't matter, because when you win, everything works, and it's so much easier. You really do earn your money, and to a degree, in a warped sense. In fact, I was talking to Vince Cotroneo about this yesterday. In a warped sense, there's something kind of neat about working to try and keep an audience as you prepare for a Major League Baseball game in losing seasons. It's a challenge, but it sure makes it worthwhile. After a ball game, you say to yourself, we lost. It was a good game. I think I did well. You could critique yourself. When you win, this is true, Chris. It's been like this for now 30 years for me, and people mean well. And I'm telling you, when we lost 100 games a year, we would lose a couple of times. We lost back-to-back 100-loss seasons, so on. But without fail, you'll have in a 162-game baseball schedule, you'll have stretches where you win some ball games. You win 5 or 6, even though you end up losing 100 games. And during those stretches, people, and they mean well, and they're sincere, they come up to me and they'll go, "My gosh, you sound great. I love listening to you. You've never sounded better." And I say, "Thank you very much." And I walk away and I kind of chuckle to myself. And in 13, 14, 15, when the Pirates went to the playoffs, I can't tell you how many people came up to me all over the place. "Gosh darn, you sound good, man. I love you. You're a great announcer." Yep, great announcer. Take a look at the record. The best announcers are the ones that have winning teams. So it humbles you. I enjoy it whether they win or lose, but it's a whole lot more fun when they win.
Oh, your calls on MLB Network on Quick Pitch when they replay it at night. Oh, your calls are the best.
Oh yeah,
when you're winning.
Absolutely. It's funny. What's true about this is when your team loses, those calls don't make it. It's only when your team wins that those calls make it, especially locally, like on our radio station or whatnot. The team loses, they're out of the race. Boy, when they're winning, they're exciting games, exciting plays. Sure, they're going to play those calls, but it's the players and it's the game that makes those calls.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we had Derek Shelton on yesterday, and we got to meet him this past year down in San Diego at the winter meetings. People over the years have tried to downplay leadership. They tried to downplay the manager. It's all about the front office. It's all about the numbers. I got to tell you, you find me a team that's coming out of the darkness and into the light, and I'll show you the guy. As I say, somebody has to be at the front of the plane. Somebody has to be at the front of the bus. Somebody has to deal with the players. Somebody has to deal with the egos. Somebody has to deal with the issues off the field. Somebody has to be the guy that kicks them in the butt, pats him on the back, has to be a father figure. Somebody's got to be the manager. I'll show you a team coming out of the darkness to the light, and I'll show you a good manager. Derek Shelton is that. Talk about the guy who's your skipper.
Well, I've been through a lot of them, a lot of managers. I've done other sports over the years. Pro.
Marv Levy was pretty good back in the day.
Marv was one of my favorites of all time, and he really is. And he took a lot of grief, but boy, he was steady. And what I find, and this is just me personally, the best managers, coaches, managers of people are the ones, win or lose, and especially it's true in baseball because it's every single day. When you walk into that clubhouse or in an office, you don't know whether the night before the team won in walk-off fashion, it came from behind, won an exciting game, or whether the team just lost their 12th in a row. You don't know by the attitude of that manager. And Derek Shelton is able to do that. And that cannot be easy because all the things you talked about, all the stuff that's on their plate, meeting with media every single day before and after every single game, all the people, that manager's office door, if you just watch it, there are people going in and out of that door all day long. It's constant. People, when I do the pregame show with them, 10 minutes, close the door. There's a window there. There's always someone waiting now to follow. Open the door, somebody comes in. I'm always waiting to go in. Somebody comes out, I go in. It's constant, and he's great at it. Jim Leland, of course, I was around with Jim Leland. He was tremendous at it. Great people skills. And as you say, somebody who can lead through the hard times, someone who doesn't get down, someone who's able to, I think he took a big time bullet a couple years ago. You'll remember the play when our first baseman against the Chicago Cubs with a runner at third takes a ground ball, and all he has to do is tag Javi Baez, who hit the ball, and he gets caught up in the moment, the first baseman, and Baez starts backpedaling toward home, and our first baseman starts kind of following him to home plate. All of a sudden, I think it was Wilson Contreras, I believe it was, is now he had been at second base. Well, he just continues to run, and now he's headed for home plate, and our first baseman gets confused, and our catcher is kind of going like, give me the ball, because the guy is now going to score from third. So he throws him the ball, and the Cub, I think it's Contreras, slides in safe. And now, all heck breaks loose because Baez takes off for first. The ball is thrown into right field. The right fielder takes the ball, throws it to second. Ball gets away. Third baseman. And it was complete mayhem and chaos. The next day, the press conference, and that night, Shelton said, you know what? That was my fault. He goes, my fault because I should have let them know the situation. I mean, he tried to diffuse it. He tried to take away. He goes, the guy knows he made the mistake. It's addressed. It's a once in a lifetime play. Everybody got caught up in the moment. But man, he truly showed his true colors there, I thought.
Yeah, leadership. It means a lot. Somebody's got to be at the front of the bus. Somebody's got to be at the front of the plane. You got to have the right leader. And if you don't, we love Mark Kotze and also love Bob Melvin. Got to see it with Bob Melvin for a few years. We always got to talk a little football since we brought up Marv Levy, and we got to go back to your Buffalo Bills days. Isn't it amazing? Bill Walsh and the San Francisco 49ers are always going to get credit for the West Coast offense. Walsh learned a lot of his offense from the great Paul Brown in Cincinnati, but the K-gun offense in Buffalo that led by the great Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer, and got to the Bills, and Frank Reich was as a backup was great, got them to 4 straight Super Bowls. There are so many offenses out there when you look at West Coast or the K-gun that we see in the NFL today. No one ever goes, I've seen that before with Jim Kelly back in the day in the K-gun offense. A lot of what happens now in the NFL was happening back when you were covering the Bills.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, without disrespecting Bill Walsh, because I didn't know him at all, but I do know Marv Levy, and he was so humble. Like he wasn't looking for his name or the K-gun offense to be something that is talked about to this day. He wasn't looking for his legacy. He was looking for what was best for the Buffalo Bills at the time, and so humble and downplayed everything. And so again, not looking to make a name for himself, which he would have done had he promoted the K-gun as his invention. It was not just Marv, it was others. Jim Kelly was very much involved in the design of that. But you're right. It's kind of comical that we still to this day hear about the West Coast offense, but we don't hear much about the K-gun. And it was revolutionary. And it changed offenses. Every once in a while that no huddle will come back. Some teams still kind of use it, but that was the first time that it was used full time, the no huddle and the K gun. And I credit Marv. And Ted Marchibroda was the offensive coordinator, so he another humble guy, but working and not having the big egos, not afraid to allow Jim Kelly and other players to get involved and say, hey, this could work. We let Bills let Jim Kelly call his own plays, and I think the world of Marv. I think the world of that organization at that time, and it'll that legacy will live on. The fact that they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, I don't know that that'll ever be done ever again.
Well, we know you got pregame show stuff to do. We always appreciate the time, and I just want you to know that after I get done with every broadcast, and whether I'm getting home from the Coliseum or I'm here in my home studio and I go inside and I watch Quick Pitch, which is the highlight show on MLB Network after all the games are done, I get a great smile when I hear Raise the Jolly Roger, and I think of you every time.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that makes me smile. So, Chris, thanks, man, and it makes me smile because I know that it's meaningful to you. It's meaningful to a lot of fans, and it's kind of the perfect ending. It works. It really works, and it's kind of made its way around the world. I get tweets from people of pictures of they'll see the Jolly Roger. Heck, I got one last year. Some guy's like traveling in Italy, and he saw one in Venice, and he's like on a gondola, and he takes a picture of it. He sends it to me. So it's really cool that everybody can kind of unite around it.
Well, the fact that you've come on our show many times means a lot to us. You know what a big Pirates fan Cody is, and we talk a lot of Pirates baseball here, and it's great that you guys are winning. So have a great call tonight, and let's talk later on during the season.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Appreciate it. Great talking to you.
One of the great voices in all of our game, no question about it. Right there, 30 years, going back to Three Rivers Stadium, 30 years. Play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Raise, that's the man. If you're watching MLB Network, you're watching any of the highlight shows, and they bring up Raise the Jolly Roger, that's the guy. It's a lot of fun. Good for them. Now you're happy for them. They've won a lot of close games. They've won 6 straight. Pirates win tonight. They tie a season-high 7-game winning streak. Last 3 of their wins are by 1 run. I mean, the Pirates, last night they walked 10 times. On the season, Pittsburgh's 9.5% walk rate trails only the Padres, Dodgers, and the Cubs in Major League Baseball. I don't even know if I want to get into it. I still, last night's games, you know what? I'll say this. I've got the compete meter for June. Do you know what the compete meter's at?
Not high, not good.
2-2. They're 2-2. They competed last night. That was a competitive game.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair.
5-4. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking, give me a competitive effort. We're going to have a compete meter. And what's the record? And according to the compete meter, which is my eyesight, they're 2-2. I still trying to figure out how, if you know that an umpire has a tight strike zone and an inconsistent strike zone, that you're going to bring in Fuji in this game. I don't know. How do you think that's going to work out well?
I was out in here. I'll show you on the camera here. I was out in left field by where the scoreboard is. And
what's below the scoreboard?
There's a bunch of seats, and then there's like bathrooms, and I think the pirate shop is back there. But to the right of it, if you're looking straight at it, to the right is Fatheads, which is a bar. We were standing right there watching the game by the dugout.
In behind the back green, the hitter's eye.
Yeah.
And the scoreboard right there looks like there's a tent there. That's a bar.
It's a bar. It's called Fatheads. And we're actually right behind the big green monster there where it says Pirates in center field is Manny's Barbecue for the great Manny Sanguian. But Fatheads was a bar, and I'm standing there, and there's seats to sit. So you got people, Pirate fans, heckling the A's bullpen, and they were getting on Fuji and everyone else, like fans do. But as soon as I saw Fuji come in, I'm like, Fuji's coming in the game right now.
I couldn't believe it. I was on my couch. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, if there's ever a time you're not going to bring in a guy that's inconsistent with an inconsistent umpire and a tight strike zone, that combination and Fuji don't go together.
No.
Now here's the thing, and I tried to talk about it in the postgame last night, and it's just a reality. Two things. One, we don't know who's available. We don't know. We can sit here and say, well, why doesn't he pitch so-and-so? Well, we don't know who's available. I learned that over the years with Bob Melvin, and Melvin would bring me in, and he'd go, listen, blank, blank, blank couldn't throw today. And I'd be like, why? Yeah, it's just the way it is. So Melvin would never go out, and Kotze's the same way, and all managers, they're not going to go out in the pregame show and say, hey, everybody, let me tell you who can't play today just so the other team can know. Let me tell you, of the guys I have in the bullpen, this guy can't throw. They don't do that because they want the other dugout to see all the names. If you see in a dugout that's up on the wall, the entire team, the starters and everything, and then you see how they cross everybody off, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When they pan the cameras into the dugout, and they'll show a manager's car, and then they've got all their notes. So they don't know who's healthy and who's not on the other team and who can go and who can't. We don't know that. So maybe Fuji's all you got. Just a reality. Number two is I'm going to have to suck it up. And I realize that, and I mentioned it last night. And the reason why I say last night is because if you didn't listen, I'm giving it to you here. I want you to hear it from me. I'm going to have to suck it up that certain guys are going to have to play. Certain guys are going to have to play because – what time's Martín Gallegos?
Martin will be here in a couple minutes. He's joining me in the booth too, so.
Okay, so quickly, we're going to have to suck it up because some of these guys, we need to play them so we can trade them. That's the bottom line. People are going to get desperate, and I know it seems crazy, like, why would you trade for our guys? People are going to be desperate. For instance, an outfielder gets out, and it scares me that Ramon Laureano is not in the lineup again today. Why is that?
It's a great question. I don't know either. Martin might know.
Well, you are there, by the way. I mean, you are boots on the ground.
I know, but I haven't heard anything. That's why I said maybe I didn't get
anything. You need to go down and ask Kotze. You're in the bar with him last night. Go down and say, hey, why is he not playing? Do your job as a reporter with boots on the ground. But that's the whole point. Like, if a team has an outfielder that gets hurt, you bet someone's going to call the A's for Ramon Laureano because it'll be a cheat. But we got to move these guys for something. You just don't want to just get rid of them. So I have to understand there's the business of baseball and got to figure out how do you get some of these guys going because you got to move some of them. Before the young guys come up, you either got to dump them or trade them. And I'd rather trade them for something because you never know what something can be in our business. It's just how it works. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Martín Gallegos, MLB.com, with us next from PNC Park. Show the picture one more time. Look at this joint.
All right, hold on one second. Okay. Oh, wrong thing. There you go.
Is that amazing or what? Martín Gallegos next, right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Linksole, and you're going to love Linksole. They have just released their new spring line, new fabrics for their polos, lightweight and perfect for technical performance. Linksole also has new styles for their layers and hoodies with cool prints and seasonal colors. You know what they say in the big leagues: look good, play good. Go to linksole.com. That's linksole.com.
Unbeatable mileage from Chevron with Techron unlocks all kinds of unbeatable trips. Like to family dinner the next town over. Or to a family wedding the next town over. Or even to a family reunion over the river and through the woods at Grandma's house. Any drive is worth it to see Grandma. Especially when you can stop along the way for unbeatable cleaning power from Chevron with Techron. Your engine will be thanking you for making the trip. Download the Chevron app now and find unbeatable mileage near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Hey, Billy, this deck is great for getting everyone together. Thanks. We're really enjoying the outdoor space, especially on a day like today. What's the material? Humboldt Redwood from Ashby Lumber. They gave us a great deal, provided us with a quick quote, and we couldn't be happier. We even found a great contractor through their online contractor directory.
Don't miss a day outdoors. Visit Ashby Lumber in Berkeley or Concord to see our stock of naturally strong, naturally beautiful Humboldt Redwood. Find out more at ashbylumber.com for all your building needs. Ashby Lumber.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Series 1 Baseball. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Thanks to the Xfinity 10G network, my little brother's friends won't leave our house. When I was their age, internet with basically no interruptions was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa. Now through April 23rd, new customers can get 200 megabit Xfinity internet during our limited time Xfinity 10G network launch celebration for just $25 a month for 2 years. Go to xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Streaming from the A's Road studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
That's right. It's a special edition of A's Cast Live. Why? Well, it's always special. But we're also at PNC Park as the commander is there. And look who he has lined up. Martín Gallegos with the beautiful skyline of Pittsburgh behind him. I got to tell you, we've been ranting and raving. This view is unreal. By far the best in baseball.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, it's my first time here. I had very high expectations. Obviously, seen it on TV and seen the pictures, but to actually experience it in person, it's been remarkable. It's definitely up there with, you know, if not number one, 1A, as, you know, the best ballpark in baseball for sure.
Can I, you know, I've told you what a great reporter and writer you are, right?
A couple times, yeah.
Well, the fact that, yeah, you promoted A's Cast Live and A's Cast the other day, I appreciate that. And I thought it was interesting. And you obviously listened, thought the same thing. It's like, yeah, you got some guys in AA that can play. And at some point, guys are going to come up from AAA. Is it time for the A's? We've seen other teams do it this year. Is it time to start thinking about AA guys skipping AAA because knowing what a joke AAA is and coming straight to the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, what David said was, you know, is very interesting. I mean, and we always talked about it. You know, it's hard to judge these guys who are at AAA performing well. You know, these guys are out there, you know, hitting bombs and hitting over 300, and they come up to the big leagues and they're struggling. They're struggling. It's a completely different dynamic moving from Las Vegas ballpark over to, you know, the Coliseum and the other many spacious ballparks that are in the majors, it kind of plays a little bit more even for them, and it's hard to translate that success. Whereas at AA, I think it's a little bit more fair. And we always hear about the best pitching prospects are always at AA, right? And so these hitters that are down there, guys like Lawrence Butler, Daryl Harnaez, Denzel Clark, Brett Harris, these guys are facing the best of the best in terms of pitching prospects, and to be having success down there for a team that's obviously rebuilding right now and going through a miserable start to the season, at this point, why not consider bringing those guys up? And I know those, David Force mentioned on your show that, those conversations have been discussed. And I'm sure, as we go along here and we start getting into June, it's only going to heat up a little bit more. These guys are performing. They're hitting well down there, doing everything that they've been asked to do. So, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see some guys, straight from AA to come up here. I know there's guys at AAA who are knocking on the door as well, but AA's got a lot of really good prospects who seem to be, making their case to come up here at some point.
All right, every sport, the broadcasters and the reporters talking cliches. They've got the same statements that they say, the same critiques, it's the same stuff regurgitated over and over. Well, it's the big league level. Well, it's a big league level. Well, Jason Stark has come out with an article in The Athletic about the amount of pitchers that are being used, the amount of starters every team has used, the amount of pitchers. So I don't even know what the big league level is when you talk about all these guys getting hurt, now deGrom going out. But so many teams are having to use so many different pitchers. And when you say, you guys in AA, he hasn't seen big league pitching. Well, maybe he has, because we're having to use so many AAA and AA guys now. I don't even know what big league pitching is because we're having to use so many different guys. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, we see all across the league. We're seeing guys getting called up, they just got drafted like last year. I mean, that's out the window now in terms of, reaching a certain pitch limit or at bat limit. That's not really a formula that teams follow anymore. That's kind of, the old school way of thinking. We saw it with Mason Miller this year. Mason Miller came up. He had 20 innings of minor league ball. So, the A's, they've shown with that situation that they're not afraid to call a guy up if they need help. And obviously, we've seen the state of this bullpen, the state of this rotation. It's been a revolving door of guys, and they haven't really been able to settle, find, guys who are reliable to pitch for you every fifth day outside of maybe JP Sears. And you hope Paul Blackburn can be another one of those guys who just came up. But, there's no guys at the big league level for the A's that are blocking, a guy from AA or AAA, from coming up if they're performing well down there. There's no reason that they should be down there, for a whole season.
Everybody is talking about the season for Ruiz. I got to talk about my guy Noda, who had another big night last night. Base hit in the first, walk and scored in the third, walked in the fifth, double in the ninth. Right now, he's on pace to get 102 walks. That is pretty impressive. When you think about that type of season, his on base, we're watching Noda grow. I guess the only critique, and you don't want to, he's got a great eye. You don't want him to lose that. Just maybe sometimes be a little bit more aggressive. But now that you've gotten to watch him through all these games, you're now talking 62 games. What are your impressions of Ryan Noda, and how good do you think he can be?
Yeah, he's talked about that himself, just kind of trying to find that balance of he's, at heart, he's a guy who's going to be patient at the plate, but, there are times to get a little bit more aggressive. I think that's something he's still working out at the big league level. But so far, Tony, you always make the joke about the Moneyball joke about he sounds like an Oakland A already. He's prototypical Oakland A. A guy who gets on base a ton, can hit a bomb every now and then. You want to see the power show up a little bit more. It's shown up in spurts. He's still looking to kind of find that power stroke at the big league level, but there's been a lot to like for sure. I think outside of, him and Ruiz, as far as, talk about newcomers and hope for the kind of the future guys who you can, who will be part of successful A's teams in the coming seasons. Those are two names right there. Ryan Noda, I think, every day at first base. We saw, with Jesus Aguilar getting DFA'd, that kind of sent the message that, hey, we believe in Ryan Noda. We think he can be a guy who can play for us every day against lefties and righties, and he's getting that opportunity right now. And, I just every time he comes up to the plate, you always expect him to work like a 7, 8, 9 pitch at bat. It's never like just, go up there and swing at 3 pitches and strike out. He's going to make a pitcher work, and that's always valuable to have a guy like that at the top of the lineup. And with him and Ruiz there, 1 and 2, that's a pretty nice little combo there that they've got forming there so far.
Just yesterday's first inning was like, if this is the future, I'm so on board. is you got Ruiz get on a catcher's interference, so he gets on base. Steals second, Noda base hit, brings him in. Was that like the perfect way to start a game? Like, this is the future, these two guys.
For sure. Yeah, that's how you draw it up. Those two guys, get on, and Ryan Noda can drive a ball to the gap somewhere. He doesn't even have to drive it very far because we all know how fast Ruiz is. Just, get a hit, and Ruiz is going to, find his way, circling the bases at some point.
Now, we talked about we're going to look at Ruiz, Noda, Langoliers, I would say Allen. Allen's now being sent down for Kevin Smith. I know we haven't talked about that yet today, but the young guys we're really going to look at, and that's really who we care the most about. But when you start to talk about some of the veteran guys, it becomes a whole different thing. But one more thing on Ruiz. Tell me what you love and tell me what you think he really needs to work on.
I mean, I think I love just the energy that he brings. The speed obviously is an exciting thing to watch on the bases. And he also, puts the ball in play a lot. He won't strike out a ton. He goes through little stretches here and there where he doesn't get a hit, but he generally puts the ball in play and takes advantage of his speed.
He can hit. There's no question. He can hit.
Yeah, for sure. As far as things, that's still to work on, I think a lot of that lies in his defense. He's kind of a quiet guy out there. Katse has talked about that. For a center fielder, you got to kind of take command and patrol that outfield and be the leader out there. I think he's, naturally kind of a shy guy, so he's still kind of trying to break out of that shell. But I think you got to be a little bit more, aggressive out there. But, he's certainly got the range. I mean, we see the speed that he has out there. It translates in terms of range. He's able to track down a lot of balls. I mean, he's had some spectacular plays already this season, but he's also had a couple of plays out there where it's, defensive miscues where it's like, this guy's still learning to be a center fielder. Not long ago, he was still a second baseman. So he doesn't have a ton of time out there in center field, but, he's playing every day and he's getting an opportunity to kind of groom himself. And I think it's a positive to have Mark Kotze, a former center fielder, as his manager, who goes up to him, almost every day after games and kind of talks to him about things that he likes and things that he can improve on.
What's going on with Ramon Laureano right now?
So apparently he had some visa issues that, he had to go fix. I guess the visa expired. And he had to go to the Dominican Republic in order to resolve it on Sunday. So he flew out after that Marlins game, and he's been gone these last 2 days. He's expected to land today, not before first pitch, but he'll be here at some point tonight. I don't know if he'll be available off the bench. I think Kotze was still a little bit unsure of that, but he sounds like he's going to be back here today. But, some visa issues, I guess that's all they left it at. But the good thing is he's back. He's going to be back today, and he should be in the lineup tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, because it's a little shocking, right, when you didn't see him in the lineup?
Yeah, and I had noticed, I hadn't seen him at all in the clubhouse, so I, figured something was up. But luckily it's not something where he's going to be out for a long time, because it seemed like he had a decent series in Miami as well. So it's kind of, they could have used him last night, off the bench for sure in those situations where they needed a pinch hitter.
I mean, he's arguably defensively the best right fielder defensively, and if you can just get his back going, I look at him as, there's going to be a lot of buyers, not a lot of sellers, so that's good news for the sellers. A's are a seller. I mean, especially if there's an injury somewhere, I'd be calling the A's about Ramon Laureano, who has playoff experience. So it's like the A's need, some of these veteran guys, as much as I want to see the young guys, I do understand the business of baseball, and you tell me, it's like they got to get some of these veteran guys hot so they can actually move them, so they can at least get something for them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with a guy like Laureano. I think there's a lot of teams that are, looking at him and kind of, wondering, is this guy, what is he? At this point, we know the defense is really good, but can his bat get back to, some semblance of what it was, a few years back? We haven't really seen that. Like I said, he did have a decent series in Miami, and generally the at-bats do seem to, be a little better the past couple of weeks. So, once he comes back here, he'll get a chance to play every day again. But yeah, he's a guy, Ledimus Diaz is another guy who I think, the A's kind of have to balance. Do we want to play Kevin Smith every single day at shortstop, or do we want to find a way to get Ledimus Diaz in there and maybe he starts to hit, well, and he becomes a potential trade candidate as well. Guys like Jace Peterson, those veteran guys, you got to find a way to get them in there to try to, I guess, showcase, if that's the right word to put it. But, those are, if they can start performing a little bit well here before the trade deadline, those are guys who definitely, veteran guys who have been there before, attractive pieces to teams that are looking for, some depth at the deadline.
Well, if you think 12 and 50 is weighing on me, or if you think 12 and 50 is weighing on you, and if you think 12 and 50 is wearing on the players, I don't think anybody is getting more worn out than the coaching staff. These guys, Mark Kotze's not sleeping. Mark Kotze is miserable. This coaching staff is miserable. I mean, it's a brutal, brutal season, but the players still get paid. They're still playing. They're still living a very good life. Just how do you think this coaching staff is holding up right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I give Kotze a lot of credit, man, because the way this year has gone, even the way last year went, and as far as what we've seen as media members, he's never once lashed out at us or gotten smart with us or anything. He's handled all this very well. I know behind closed doors, it's like you said, it's eating at him, and he probably can't sleep a lot of nights, especially a game like last night where, I mean, he basically said it. He didn't want to say they gave the game away, but there were so many opportunities there to win that. They should have won that game. Bottom line, they should have won that game. There were so many missed chances there, so many just kind of fundamental mistakes, and I think that's what kills them the most is seeing a game where there's a possibility to win it. I mean, we know how rare those are this season. And when you lose it because of fundamental stuff, it's one thing to just be outplayed, outmatched. That's going to happen most nights. But, when you can win a game and you don't because of fundamental mistakes, fundamental errors, those are things that, these guys kind of, harp on guys every day. And when they're not able to perform that on a given day, it's demoralizing, for a coaching staff. And, but Kotze's done a great job of just keeping not only his spirits up, but the player spirits up, the coaching staff spirits up as well. So, like I said, I give him a lot of credit for navigating through this, tough situation that's been going on with this team here, not only this season, but last season as well.
All right, we got to get to pregame, but I know you went over to the Roberto Clemente Museum. How cool was that in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't even know that place existed. Mark Ling, the A's PR director, invited me, and it was really awesome. Some A's broadcasters were there. Dallas Braden was there. Ryan Noda was there, and he had a blast there too. Just got to hold a bat from Roberto Clemente. That was in there, and just all the memorabilia that was there. It's 3 stories, and it's just full of just artifacts. And the tour guide, Dwayne Reeder, I believe his name, who founded the museum, just incredible knowledge of the Clemente family. I think he knows most of the Clemente family members, and everything that he's got in there. There's a shop in there. There's a wine cellar in there. It's incredible. So any baseball fan who finds yourself in Pittsburgh one of these days, go out there. It's only 9 minutes, I think, from here driving. So it was something that I'll never forget for sure. My first time in Pittsburgh, and to be able to go there and learn, I knew a little bit about, obviously, the history of Roberto Clemente, but the amount of knowledge that he dished out on us was incredible. And so it was really awesome. And I recommend it for anybody. I'd love to go back myself one day.
Yeah, you talked to Dave Stewart about it. With all the great things that Stu did in his career, World Series, all that kind of stuff, he'll still tell you winning the Roberto Clemente Award, the biggest thing that ever happened to him in his career. It means a lot. And I would love to go to that museum. But there's only one problem. We'll end on this. There's only one problem with PNC Park. You want to know what that problem is?
What?
It's in Pittsburgh.
It is kind of hard to get here. There's no direct flights anywhere, it sounds like. So.
In the end, it's Pittsburgh. Great stuff, my friend. Be well, and next time I see you, we'll be back at the Coliseum.
All right, sounds good, Tony. Thanks.
Martín Gallegos, who does a great job. Oh, quick, get him back. One more question. Can we get him back one more question?
What was that? Sorry.
You're kind of in the same boat we are. With all the stadium and all that, it's not easy, just to let people know. It's not easy to be like, hey, listen, we got to cover this team. All these other people, they can deal with the stadium stuff. Just for us who have to cover the baseball team, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
It's a grind, especially when you're on the road. I've been talking about this with a couple guys. When you're the only guy on the road, it's hard. I mean, it's just basically a one-on-one session, me and Mark Kotze most days, and me and the starting pitcher. And, I think these guys, I give Kotze credit. I give the players credit, man. They're good. A bunch of good dudes in there. They're grinding. This is hard for them to go through a season like this. Nobody likes to lose at this pace, especially. And it's tough some days, but they make it generally easy on me, which I'm super grateful for. Like I said, especially on the road, because it's tough when you're going through these losing streaks, man. But they make my job a little bit easier with their attitudes about it.
All right, buddy. Be well.
All right, thanks, Tony. See you soon.
Martín Gallegos from MLB.com. Cody, quickly, I know we're running out of time because we got to get to A's Total Access. I want to give you the last couple seconds here to talk about your hometown, put the camera up on Pittsburgh, and what the experience has been like for you as a professional. Not on me, on Pittsburgh. There you go.
This has been a dream come true to not only call a game, well, not call a game, but to be here to do the show with you and have some of the guys, like Greg Brown I grew up listening to, and having Derek Shelton on, and then Martín and Vince, and just talking about how great of a city it is. And, I come home, I try to come home once a year if I can, if not every other year. So this has been a dream come true to do this. And I'm thankful to Delaire and the A's for letting me to come back and broadcast for her. This has been one of the greatest things that happened to me. I'm not going to sit here and say it's better than getting married twice, but it's up there.
Was it better than your first marriage?
Oh yes, this is above that. It's probably right below my second marriage, which is going great, so I can't complain.
No, it's really cool to go back home and do a game from the stadium that, for you, this has been kind of, you're so young. Three Rivers was when you were a young kid. This stadium right here, this is your stadium.
Yeah, I went to Three Rivers a few times. I bought a lot. I went a lot with my grandfather, and I feel like I always saw two teams play: the Montreal Expos and Vlad Guerrero, and the Houston Astros with Bagwell and Biggio and Berkman. And I feel like it's the only teams I've ever seen play there. And Carlos Lee, and Derek Bell. And then now I get to watch the Pirates play, and they're actually good again. They're good right now. I'm not going to say they're good again, but they're good right now, and it's been nice to see them play well again.
All righty. That'll do it for A's Cast Live from Pittsburgh. This is it. And I want to say thank you to everybody. Once again, I'm going on vacation as of Friday. Tomorrow we will not have a show, but you can see me on NBC Sports California doing A's pre- and post-game live. I'll be on in the post-game show after the TV duty, so I will be back tomorrow. And then after that, I'm not back till all the way next Thursday. I know a lot's going to happen. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss it, but I need a little time with the family and a little vacay, as we've worked every game. So thank you for everything that you guys do for us. We truly do appreciate it, and hopefully we're delivering a quality product for you every single day. Thank you for listening to A's Cast Live. Coming up next, A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Link Soul, and you're going to love Link Soul.